What is up? This is Josh Trent, and I have not done a solo show. God, over a year? I have been meaning to do this for so long, and we have some awesome developments that I wanted to share with you. So here we go. I'm recording this on a beautiful afternoon. I think it's like 92 degrees. If you're listening to this and it's not in the summer, don't worry. The summer will return. That's kind of the theme of my life lately, is embracing the darkness, embracing the seasons. This temporary piece of emotional discomfort is what I want to dive into today on this Solocast. But before we get to that, I want to tell you about this new 21-day guide that we've just put out. It's live on the website. It's called The Morning 21. I mean, we've all been there, right? Like you wake up, you hear about 5,000 different morning routines. Well, I have the best of the best, easy for anyone to have a physically and emotionally boosting sustainable morning ritual system delivered to your inbox right now. All you have to do is go over to wellnessforce.com/M21. Now, this Morning 21 program, this is what I pulled from over 200 interviews with some of the brightest, most radical, intelligent minds in our wellness world. And it occurred to me one day, I was copying and pasting an email to a community member about box breathing. And I thought, Josh, it's time to create something finally. It's time to create this guide, this distilled science-based system. So I tried it over the past 3 months, and we've broken it down into 21 minutes. This Morning 21 system is going to give you the step-by-step, and I truly mean that, the sequential order for all you need to prime your mind, body, and spirit so you can have some more energy and let go of the weight, both physical and emotional weight, so you can live your life well. So go over to wellnessforce.com/M21. So today's theme, it's surviving the darkness. It's pretty common that throughout the day, there can be monkey mind thoughts that pull all of us into the emotional abyss, you know, that dark black hole that none of us want to spend time in. But what's interesting and what's happened to me recently, what's happened for me recently in life is that I pulled a calf muscle. So on the back of my leg, I was sprinting. I was going to do an interview with Kyle Kingsbury from On It, and I'm on the way to LA. And I told myself, oh, you don't need to do your normal mobility and warm up. Just go for a little jog and then do sprinting. Well, the universe gave me a gift of a torn muscle. I was sprinting on my 6th sprint and I heard this popping sound. At first, I thought it was my shoe. I fell on the ground. I watched my sweat in slow motion hit the bottom of my shoe. And I looked down at my calf and I see this divot in my calf. And I realized, holy shit, I just pulled my muscle. This is the first time I've ever done this. And you know what flashed through my mind? It wasn't like raw anger or sadness. It was a voice from the universe, a voice from higher intelligence that said, this is what happens when you're going too fast, when you're not being mindful, when you're not walking your talk, when you're not acting in the way that you say that you are worth, which is taking your time, doing everything in a mindful manner. That is not what I did. And I got this gift over the past 14, 15 days of being super immobile, like friends having to buy me groceries. And I had a bro date with my friend Matt where we went to the grocery store and he walked around with me and put groceries in my cart because I was on crutches. So needless to say, I have had a massive downshift and slowing down in life. And if you can relate to this, if you've ever been injured, you know what I mean. There can be moments of victimhood, and I definitely fell into this victimhood. But there was a really good gift that I think all of us can spotlight here and just recognize. And it was when I had this downtime, when I was going through all this pain, honestly, I did a lot of CBD, I did a lot of massage, I had my leg elevated, tons of Netflix, which, by the way, if you're watching Netflix, make sure you check out the documentary about Osho. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's called Wild Wild Country on Netflix. Just watch it. It'll blow your mind. Anyways, back to the point here. I've been finally walking around and really slowly, but I've realized over these past 2 weeks, I've gotten to get this gift of extra mindfulness for my healing. And honestly, these past 2 weeks have been a massive emotional reset. I did have some victimhood pop up, but I practiced squashing it by breathing in my gratitude for life by having this slower pace. And I hadn't really had that for 5 years, 3 to 5 years. I spent time with my mom. I spoke to friends I hadn't spoken to in a while. I did all these small things that together really made me feel more grounded. This injury has been a blessing, even though it's been filled with a ton of pain. And it's essentially a lot of what I learned in Costa Rica, that all there is love. And when we go through injury or tragedy or pain of any kind, it's our connection to the love for ourselves, what we stand for, and our family and friends that really pulls us through the pain and makes our life worth living. This is a guidepost from God, right? And I'm not talking about the bearded dude in the sky. There's a lot of you that listen to the show that are religious, and I respect that because I think we're all worshiping the same thing. But we find ourselves, no matter what our faith-based practice is, in these depths of despair, in the darkness. And I just want to tell you something you already know, but it's a beautiful reminder. This too shall pass. If you're going through injury or pain or a breakup or some kind of tragedy, just know that your breath is the ticket. It's the answer. It's the way out. It's the way out of the darkness. Also, I want to share with you one piece about spiritual bypassing. This came up on the podcast with Rob Dial. We also talked about this with Drew Manning, a bunch of other people. Spiritual bypassing. It is trying to find the lesson before you've earned the lesson. Here's what I mean. First 2 days of the injury, I was on Facebook and I was writing, I already know why I'm supposed to learn this lesson. It's because I'm going too fast and I need to slow down. And I was doing it. I caught myself spiritually bypassing. We all get to do this, is take a real deep breath and actually allow ourselves to have the lesson unfold. And that is what allows us to transform ourselves from being in the depths of despair to coming out to the light. The light is the part that shines on us when we're actually in the place of receiving the lesson. But the ego is so tricky, right? I know you can relate to this. Sometimes the ego will say, oh, this is why this happened. And it'll happen in a minute or an hour or a day. We get to pull the e-brake on the ego. We get to pull the e-brake on the ego because the ego does not have our wellness and our best life in mind. The ego was designed, as we talked about on episode 183 with Dr. Kyra Bobinet, the ego and the habenula and our amygdala, the ancient systems in the brain, it's designed to keep us alive, not happy, not joyful, not connecting with others. That part of our brain, that ancient system, and our ego is attached to it, it actually is efficient at just keeping us surviving. This survival versus thriving. This is the part that comes up for so many of us when we go through injuries and tragedies and despair. Well, I'll tell you, my friend, I'm being open and honest right here. I have learned so much about myself from this injury, these 2 weeks of pulling my own e-brake and just slowing the hell down. So no matter what you're going through right now in your life, or if you have something that's stressing you out, if you're in a job you don't like, if you're in a relationship that's causing you pain, just know there is steps. And I would even say the 3 steps are this. First, do your morning practice. Have a morning ritual that guides you, that plants seeds in your subconscious mind, that literally anchors you for a positive day. That's step number 1. Get your morning routine down. Everything stems from the morning. I mean, thousands and thousands of years, this has been said by both ancient and contemporary wellness and spiritual leaders. It's the thoughts, breaths, and movements, this system cultivated in our morning, is what actually holds the power to transform our life. But this is not what's talked about in our current wellness and fitness paradigm. It's always about doing an external thing, going external to get some kind of internal result. Well, I want to call bullshit on that. And if you've been around for the show, or if you've just tuned in now and you're just hearing this episode, you know that when you start your day on a positive note, on a forward step that's in alignment with something you actually want, whether it's weight loss or more joy or more energy or changing your body, getting muscle, whatever it is, having a great relationship, it's that first thing. It's those first 5, or in this case, 21 minutes in the morning that are actually going to guide you to where you get to be. And here's the crazy part too, that sometimes the ego tries to hide. We actually are all born as sentient beings. We are all born and we all deserve to have this beautiful life that starts with the morning routine. So if you got anything from my little mini rant, my solo show right now, I just wanted to drop in with you. I'm so grateful that you spend time from your busy life, from this incredibly busy life that we always find ourselves in, which the beautiful reframe on that is actually that we have full lives. The reality is that we're lucky. We're so fortunate to be living in this time where we can connect through technology, where we can have resources that are transferred back and forth to one another. And we have some exciting things coming for Wellness Force. We are literally revamping the website soon. We're going to be making at least 2 more guides by the end of summer, guides around sleeping, guides around eating, specific tools that have really been lacking. I've been seeing a lack of these in our wellness space. And I want to step up to the plate for all of us as a collective, because as I started this show, if you go back to episode 000, the very first one, 3 years ago, it's funny, the title of it it was The New Era of Wellness and Behavior Change. It was from someone in the fitness industry, Fabio Camana, June 18th, 2015, over 3 years ago. The interesting part about this is that we've always known it's truly about behavior change. But until we can change any behavior, we have to know ourselves. We get to know what motivates you, what lights you on fire to actually make these changes, how much of your identity is wrapped around you living your life well, you being fit, you being well, you being healthy. That is the block for most people. It's the identity block. Can you wrap your mind and yourself and your heart around creating an identity where you show up well, fit, healthy, vibrant for yourself and for the people that you care about, because it's deeply embedded in your identity. And I've been thinking a lot about this over the past 2 weeks. What is your identity? That is the question. That is the question today. What is your identity when it comes to health and wellness? Do you have an identity that you're not good enough? Do you have an identity that losing weight is something other people do? That's all bullshit. That is all the ego's lie. And this work is so multi-pronged that we're doing, whether it's spirituality and discovery through the plant medicine, whether it's strength training on the barbell or body weight, whether it's just focusing on eating clean, doing a Whole30 or a 30 clean, or Radiate and 28 from Paleo Valley. There's so many different tools that we can use, but none of those tools matter, my friend. And I know this speaking from my most authentic heart. None of these tools and PDFs and guides matter unless we take a deep breath and do the emotional inventory to figure out what's our identity. What do we believe about ourselves? Do we believe that we're worthy, that we have tremendous amounts of abundance coming our way? And if that's not the case, then we get to take the next practical step. The sequential order of operations is know yourself, know you're worthy, and start your day on the right foot. And in 21 minutes, you can do this. Head over to wellnessforce.com/M21. I'm going to give you that free guide. I'm also going to give you a huge hug and a digital high five when you go over to the Wellness Force group. Thanks for listening to me today and spending some time hanging out on Wellness Force Radio. If you like these solo shows, send this to somebody who gets to hear this message. Let me know on social, on Instagram, at Wellness Force, everywhere online. Just send me a message. I'm super reachable, and I'm super grateful that you spend your time with me here on the podcast. So until I see you again real soon, my friend, I'm wishing you love and wellness